Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Pokemon fans, and
Prepare for trouble!
Make it double!
To protect the world from devastation.
To unite all peoples within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
Jessie!
James!
Team Rocket, blast off at the speed of light!
Surrender now or prepare to fight!
Meow, that's right!
As I was saying, Pokemon fans and Poke trainers everywhere, I think Team Rocket got a little ahead of themselves and jumped in with their intro before our intro. But that's alright, because they're the focus of our deck for this game. We've built the new Team Rocket deck with the new Hidden Fates cards. It's a great deck, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of fun to play. So I have the deck profile coming up for you, and then an excellent game to show off exactly how you want to play this deck. Also, I've decided I'm going to do games both ways, where I do the live commentary, and then I'm just going to do commentary overlays for games that I'm recorded when I'm like doing something or when I'm eating, just because it's hard to get like the perfect game to show off some of these decks. Although you do win games, not all of them can really show off like how the deck works consistently, what decisions to make. So when we get a game like that, I'm going to grab it, I'm going to record it, and then I'm going to overlay the commentary just so we don't miss out on seeing some of these great games, on seeing some of these great combos. Yeah, let's get started here. I'm going to open a few packs at the end of the video just for fun. So if you guys want, you can join me there. But the deck profile first. I might do it in the middle and then go to the game as kind of like a transition, but that's just for fun. It's just a few. So anyway, Team Rocket, boy, this is a fun deck to play. Let's just go to all. So the objective of this deck is to discard cards from your opponent's hand and force them to keep drawing, or force them to just like run out of options, or eventually just run out of cards to play. Excuse me there. The star of our show, usually it's a Pokemon, but this time it's a trainer card. So I'm going to start there, and then we'll get to the Pokemon lineup and do everything else as usual. So, Jessie and James, the main trainer card for this set here, and this is what really makes this work and shine, I feel like. Each player discards 2 cards from their hand. Your opponent discards first. Okay. Simple enough. They get to choose here, right? You get to make them discard 2 cards in their from their hand. We're gonna run 3 of these guys. I'm considering running 4. I don't know yet, because we have to discard cards too, and that can get pricey at times. Anyway, not an issue, but that's that card. We have the nice full art here, really cool. We have Jessie, James, Wobbuffet, and Meowth, so pretty cool card there. And then we have the regular Jessie James card too. And then let's move on to our Pokemon lineup. So our main attacker for this deck here is there's 2 of them, Giratina and Arbok. Okay, let's start with Giratina, because we already know this card. Distortion Door, right? You send him in, you get him back. This is running off the Malamar engine, so you're gonna just recharge your Giratinas on your bench and attack that way. So you always have standard attackers. We're running 2 Giratinas in case one of them gets prized or something crazy. So you always have one consistent attacker, even if he gets sent to his grave because of Distortion Door, right? Okay, so the next one, Arbok. Now this card has great synergy with the Jessie and James cards that we have in our deck. That's why we're running 3 of them. That's why we're considering even running 4, because we are running the 4 Arboks in this deck. And primarily, we're running this because Jessie is in here, and she's awesome. No, that's not the reason. It's for the ability. Last pattern. If this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, discard 2 random cards from your opponent's hand. So if he's gonna kill your Arbok, he has to make the conscious decision that he's gonna discard 2 cards from his hand, apart from all the cards that we're gonna force him to discard with our Jessie and James. Let me get on to the other prime Pokemon here, because Jessie and James isn't complete without Arbok and Weezing. So, Weezing, the ability Surrender now. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is discarded with the effect of Jessie and James, you may have your opponent discard a card from their hand. They discard that card after the effect of Jessie and James. So, basically, you do 2, and then Weezing gives you 1 more. I am trying to run, like, as I said, I'm trying to run like a third Jessie and James, a fourth Jessie and James, a third Weezing. But just like Team Rocket, this deck is greedy, and it's super hard to make space for things. Like, as you can see, there's no custom catcher in here. Like, it's just impossible to make everything fit. The only thing I can really think of is like tossing out this adventure bag. And maybe putting in a third Weezing, so we have 3 for 3 on the Jessie and James combo. But there's no guarantee that you're going to get a Weezing every time you need to use Jessie and James, and there's no guarantee you're going to have all 3 Jessie and James. So you're going to have to rely on a mix, at least trying to get one Weezing Jessie and James combo in for 3 cards, and then just one Jessie and James regular, and then an Arbok. That's still a lot of cards that your opponent's losing. And if you can do that, you know, turn over again, and you just being able to recycle your Giratina over and over again for a primary attacker is really good. 2 Malamar on the bench, maybe even 3 depending on how you want to play that. We have the hated, I mean my personally hated Jirachi, because I never get this card in its combo. It's like I have to painstakingly earn my way to be able to use Jirachi and Escape Board, as you will see in games. But hopefully it starts getting better and we become friends. Yes, please. Look at me with those soft eyes, Jirachi. We can be friends. I know we can. Okay. So we're running 3 of those in there because it's a really great starter, and it helps us set up our Giratinas on turns that we lose Pokemon. So we have something to put as our active, charge up our Giratina on the bench, and then switch out with Escape Board. So 3 Jirachis, 2 Escape Boards, standard stuff. 1 Ditto Prism Star for some versatility between the Arbok and the Malamar. If you really want, you can even put it down and evolve into this Weezing. I don't know for what reason you do that, but that's an option. Yeah, so adventure bag, so we can grab all of these. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, just stick with me here. Adventure bag, so we can grab all these escape boards, and the 4 spell tags. This is really gonna be our consistent like form of damage. We want to attach as many spell tags to our like Giratinas. I made a mistake of like attaching it to like a Malamar in case my opponent had gusting options. Some decks don't, so if you want to like hold off and primarily put them on your attacker first, because you're gonna lose at least 1 or 2 Giratina and at least 1 or 2 Arbok. Let's face it. Against like GX decks, yeah, for sure. So your primary objective is to make your opponent discard cards, so he either draws out his deck way before you do, because look, if you're usually, what do people have for drawing cards, right? Either Cynthia's or Lily's. At the worst, Welder. That's 3 cards for Welder. Lily depends on how many cards you have in your hand, except for the first turn where it's super OP. But Cynthia makes you shuffle back cards in your deck. But if you're making them discard cards, as you'll see in our gameplay right after this deck profile, it's nutty. Like, they won't be able to put cards back in the deck. So when they're consistently drawing 6 cards with Cynthia every time, plus the one they draw every turn, that's like 7 cards being drained out from your deck. So that's 54 cards to start with. You have 7 cards in your hand to begin with. The setup turns are expensive early on, where you're going to be discarding and playing a lot of cards. Like if you put down a Dedenne, that's cards gone usually, unless you can empty out your hand. So looking at all that put together, like just count the cards, right? What are we at? 47 when you draw your hand. After the setup, usually it's about 7 cards worth is what a good setup it looks like, 6 or 7 cards. So 47 minus 7, that's 40 cards, right? And then you have Jessie James with Arbok, apart from the energies your opponent's going to be playing. So let's assume he has like 10 or 11 energies, and he gets like 10 of them in play. Not even 10. Let's say he gets 8 of them in play. 32 cards. Okay, not even 8. I will give you 6. 34 cards left in his hand, right? He's going to be spending some trainer cards, of course, to have to like play it. He's going to have some stadium cards. He's going to be using item cards like Switch. So even if I'm like being generous here, let's take off another 10 cards for that, right? Because throughout the game, both trainers are going to be using trainer cards, item cards, blah blah blah. So now what is he up to? 24 cards. And from those 24, with our Jessie James and Weezing, if we can get 2 of them off, right? That's 6 cards gone. How many is he at now? 24 minus 6, 18. Okay, 18 cards left. Arbok, right? Discards 2 more cards there. If he kills 2 Arboks throughout the course of the game, that's 4 more cards. So that's like 10 cards. Plus the card he's going to draw every turn. So if you draw out a 6-turn, 7-turn game and are able to pull off those combos, you're just going to force your opponent to draw out and lose here. Even if he tries to set up an attack every turn, if it's GX Pokemon, you have an advantage because you're going to be doing more damage and losing one prize card. If it's non-GX, you can force your opponent to draw quickly because those non-GX decks are draw heavy too. Like Beham, like Pidgeotto Control, trying to think of some other ones, but yeah, you get the idea. So really good. Things like Keldeo, things like Alolan Ninetales, none of this is going to stop this deck. The discard is imminent. The only thing I can think of that really stalls you is like Dark Box, if you were to use like Dark Moon GX, but that would only stop you for like a turn, so it's not the end of the world. If you can get a first turn Jessie James, go for it. Superb. Just cut your opponent short. If you can get a first turn Jessie James with Weezing, oh my god, that's just, yeah, that's gonna kill your opponent's setup. And he's gonna have to burn a Lillie or a Cynthia early in order to even be able to set up and start his game. And that's the kind of position you want to put him in. So, whew, my monotone. Alright, Ekans. Did I finish Arbok? So, ability last pattern. Oh yeah, Rocket Tail. So for 3 energies, 1 psychic, 2 of any energies, he does 80 more damage if Jessie James is in your discard pile. That's why we're aiming to play one of these early. So our Arbok is doing 130 damage on that. Our Giratina is doing 130 damage. That's really, really good. Like 2 attacks plus a spell tag is 260 plus 4300. Yeah. Yeah, is that the KO for any tag teams? Even the Bird Trio? That's 300. So yeah, plan your hits right, and you can do it. You can also make your opponent discard cards while you're doing it. Really, really good. Really, really good. So Malamar standard, Inkay Malamar 4/4. Not gonna explain that. Pokémon Mysterious Treasure for drawing your cards. Viridian Forest 3 for the Stadium Wars. Just use them conservatively. You'll win. Even if you get out stadiumed at the end, it's not going to kill you because you'll have built up your edge over your opponent. 4 spell tags, might have already said that. 2 Recycle Energies, so you can keep, like, if they go away into the discard, just grab them back on your Giratina. Slap it on every turn, you don't have to worry. If you have 2 Malamars on your bench, that's 2 Psychic Energies, plus the Recycle, 1 Giratina, or 1 Arbok ready to attack every turn. So you don't have to worry about that. Make sure you have a Jirachi with a skateboard out there. And then 8 Psychic Energies so we don't go energy hungry or dry. That's pretty much it. That's the deck here. I'm going to get into here. I have the recorded game. And I'm going to do the commentary for it right after we open the 4 or 5 packs that we have over there. And then, yeah, that game is super duper fun, guys. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed playing it. And this deck is pretty simple to build. I have a few extra Ekans and stuff. I don't know if I have any extra Arboks. Might have some extra Inkays. Yeah, these are some expensive cards. Like I was gonna say, these are easy to get because like that's why I have extras of them. But yeah, so the Arboks are a little hard to get right now because it's like new, the Hidden Fates. Weezing a little hard to get. Jirachi's so annoying, expensive. Giratina's expensive. Ditto Prison Star's okay. So if you have Giratinas and the Malamar setup, all you need is like Arboks, Weezing. Usually people have these at this point, so, and then Jessie James. Everything else is standard. Excuse me there. But that's all we need to build the deck. Let's get into the pack opening, and then we will show you how exactly you want to utilize Jessie James. And we played that game against the Slumbering Forest, which is one of the better decks right now. So let's do this one. I don't even know what kind of cards this has in it. Guarantee a bunch of them aren't even going to be playable anymore. Oof. That is as old as cards get. Starmie, okay. Sun and Moon. Decidueye. That's a cool design for a Pokemon. It kind of looks wise. Kind of DC. Wish that was still legal. Cries silently. Not really interested in those cards. Moving on. Blizztown, and a Zygarde. Nothing too great. That's why we're just doing it intermittently. Litwick for the Chandelure deck. Shiny Little and Grimer. Last pack. Cherish Ball and a that's a good item. Okay. And a Drapion. Okay. Okay. Alright. Moving on. Alright, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, here is the gameplay for Team Rocket. So, super fun deck. Really makes your opponent think when you're like making them discard cards from their hand. Sorry, I will get that bar out of the way. Okay, here we go. I instinctively went for my mouse when I saw the coin flip and forgot this was a recording. Old habits, right? Okay, we got the Jirachi first turn, no Escape Board. So, slows us down a little bit, but not the worst. We have Arbok Weezing. I was really hoping to get a Jessie James here. We got an Inkay, so I started out with that. Obviously want one of those on the bench. I was like, can I get a Jessie James? And it wasn't there. So I went for the Escape Board. We got it first turn in this game. Thank goodness. If we didn't get that, that would have been super annoying. I thought we got it second turn. My bad. So we did get it first turn this game. We threw the Weezing back in because we don't need that yet. And I think I went for just like an Ekans or something here because I have an Arbok in my hand. I wanted to be able to set something up. And then, yeah, this is the spell tag I wasted. I should have just put it on the Ekans. That's the one I wasted. I was like, okay, in case he Gus for the Inkay, I can make the best of a worse situation. I went for the second Inkay here after some thought. I was like, what do I get? Should I get the Giratina? I was like, I have the Arbok. That should be okay. And then I was just like, alright. I was considering retreating here, but then I was like, may not be the best idea because then I won't be able to Stellar Wish next turn. I have an empty hand. So I was like, okay, moving on. So, what does my opponent do? I think my opponent does a lot this turn. She just attached to Grass Energy. Nothing happened. I'm skipping ahead so we can save some time here. Don't want this to turn into too long of a video. Stellar Wish to Mysterious Treasure, but nothing useful from that. So the first couple turns were slow. We got our Arbok. That was a good thing. Cha bak bak. He got his Breloom here. I'm pretty sure he killed our Jirachi here. Because once it's asleep, his punch does 120. So yeah. I think he just retreated. The Mareep. Yeah, and then pop. There goes our Jirachi. There goes our drawing power. Yeah, this is a lot of trouble. I think we drew a Cynthia here. So that was good. Arbok didn't want to go. He was like, no, don't put me out there. I'm not ready yet. But that Cynthia saved us a lot of grief. We got the Jessie James, so I wanted to play that next turn and discard the Giratina. Pretty sure I didn't play the Giratina this turn. Yeah, no, I didn't. I was waiting to see if I could get like a Pokécoms. That way I could discard Giratina Ekans, Pokécoms the other Ekans for a Malamar. And then, yeah, Jessie James, Giratina Ekans, Pokécoms Ekans for a Malamar, and then Cynthia into a fresh hand would be the ideal play. But we did get a little lucky here with, I think, like one of these coin flips where we got two heads and saved us a turn. Because 120 would have killed us there. We got the Jirachi. I played Jessie James here because he had 3 cards. I wanted to discard some things from his hand. We don't get to Cynthia this turn because we played Jessie James, so that's it. he discarded 2 energies, which really sucks for him because, you know, people only run like in standard decks. People only run so many energy in there, like the 10 or 11 is usually what it is. I think this particular Slumbering Forest only runs like 8 or 9 even. So discarding 2 energies early on, like if you don't have any way to get it back, that would be super problematic. You run dry. Like, it's not a very energy expensive deck by any means, because Breloom only needs like the 1 energy, but in a drawn out game, it can matter. And as you can see, this hand is empty here, so, and we have a Cynthia, which is nice for us. So I got Viridian to get rid of a Slumbering Forest, which is super annoying, and then I just Cynthia'd into another Jessie James. So that was really good. I got a spell tag, threw it straight onto the Arbok this time. I think I was thinking about like how I wanted to play this, see if there was any way I could get Jirachi into play to grab like a few more things, but I was like, okay, might be a good time to bring out like Giratina and do some extra damage here. So I was like, worst case, right? Arbok doesn't wake up, he dies. Giratina comes onto the bench. Jirachi goes into the active. We recharge Giratina, okay, because we're throwing energies out there now, and then we'll still be able to attack next turn by retreating Jirachi. But that's why I put the 1 energy on the Jirachi this turn, and I was like, okay, we're good. Let me put a spell tag on Arbok in case he doesn't wake up and he dies. I still get 40 damage, so that would have been on the Mareep, and then I would have just done 10 more damage from Distortion Door to kill his Mareep. But we woke up, so he doesn't get to kill us this turn. Pretty sure. He does have a Moongus, so if he had evolved the Shroomish into a Breloom this turn, we would have gone to sleep because of a Moongus's ability, and then he would have been able to kill us with 120 immediately. Still not the worst, like it wouldn't have been like game blowing or anything. He would have had to lose 2 cards from his hand. We would have played Jirachi, recharged Giratina, and then waited off a turn in case we weren't able to attack. But wouldn't have been the end of the world. That's all I'm trying to say. He did get his Slumbering Forest back. So, and then he retreated his Breloom here just to put us to sleep. Because he knows that with the Jessie James discarded, we're going to one-shot his Breloom next turn. So, that was pretty smart. Pretty smart of her. I'm sorry. Vicky Hurdle 24. Pretty well played there. I was like, oh, I wanted that Breloom. But we did this. We got a Jirachi. I Pokécommed the Jirachi for obviously the second Malamar. So now we're good to recharge on every turn. Really good here. Just peeking at my playmat, seeing what we need. But the Malamar was the obvious choice. Never hurts to double check, ladies and gentlemen. Never hurts to double check. So we have another spell tag, which I threw onto the Giratina. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the Mareep this turn. I wanted to, but he was the active. So, but I needed to attach energies. Couldn't waste another turn in case Arbok didn't wake up. So we had no energies in the discard. I was like, oops. But still, we have Jirachi to play, and we'll be able to set up 3 energies next turn if Arbok dies. If Arbok doesn't die and wakes up, we will be able to attack. So, always, we are good. And this deck is really smart, too, with how it employs, like, Escape Board on Mareep. I like that strategy. Have we done Slumbering Forest yet? I don't think we have. We'll do a video on this. I have the deck ready to go. I think it just got pushed back in the priority line for some of the more interesting projects. So we'll bring Slumbering Forest back. Hopefully show you a few games with that. Maybe see some variations for this, because this was a good deck. This is definitely a good deck. I feel like with Amoonguss and the Spore ability, you can only do it so many times. Excuse me. But yeah. You get asleep and poison. He was already asleep, so it was kind of wasted there. I feel like you should have waited a turn. to like ensure that. So I immediately went for the 40 damage on Mareep because I wanted a Distortion Door so I can Giratina. He threw out a Custom Catcher and a Professor Elm, so he's not going to be able to Gust us anymore. That's really good for us. No Gusting for him because he used 2. Didn't he? Oh, he threw out 1? 2. I'm not sure. He might have thrown out 2. I remember him using 2. But basically, Psychic Recharge here real quick. Bing bing. I was waiting a turn because I didn't want to discard my Cynthia with Jessie James, or I think I just Cynthia here, and I'm like, okay, I can Jessie James later. Let me get a fresh hand. Like, waiting a turn would have meant waiting 2 turns to use Cynthia, which doesn't make sense. So we got another Jessie James back in our hand, and we got another Giratina to discard, so our Viridian will knock out his Slumbering Forest here. Yeah, I sent Giratina away, obviously, and then grab the energy here. So, Mareep's gone, and one more spell tag will take care of the Shroomish, is what I went for here. Luckily, we drew an Escape Board, which is super good timing for us. Checking how many energies, there was only 1, so I went for the energy discard. Grab myself another Arbok, I think? Oh, Weezing. I wanted the Weezing for Jessie James next turn. So, retreat. Giratina. The Psychic Energy was wasted on the Jirachi, but it's alright. It was set up for that potential play where we didn't have the Escape Board and we needed to retreat. So sometimes you gotta take those measures. Shadow Impact gets us a prize here. So we leveled out the prizes this turn by taking out both the Mareep and the Breloom on 1 turn. This is the type of game where you don't want to what was I going to say? You don't want to do the damage counters on the Giratina because Pre-Dawn Strike does 120. That still leaves you with 10 health. That gives you another chance to attack. So just like throw it on one of your bench Pokemon, maybe the Jirachi. I threw it on like the Malamar twice because he had Spell Tag. So I was like, worst case, if I need to do 40 damage, I'll throw him out there, let him die, and then I can do 40 damage. But that situation never came up. But I did the Malamar twice, and then I was gonna do the Jirachi, but then I never got that far. But here's the Giratina, ready to go. He's gonna put us back to sleep here. He emptied his hand, and I was like, "Aw, well I have Jessie James," and then he Custom Captured for 3, and I was like, "Aha! Now I have Jessie James." Ha 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 ha. He's Slumbering Forest here. Of course, because you're going to run like 3 or 4 of those in this deck, depending on which variant you're playing. Pre-Dawn Strike does 100 because of resistance to fighting, but we're still good. We're still good because 2 hits will kill us either way. It doesn't really matter. So I get the Giratina ready because we don't have a second Arbok. I think I saved the Weezing for like a play. I think I ditched Malamar and Jirachi here because we already have 2 Malamars and we really don't have space for any more, so I don't think the 3rd Malamar is a big issue with the way this game's going. Didn't think it was, so went for that and then just waited for him to like get a new hand so I could do this. Yeah, so he Cynthia'd again. As you can see, he's starting to draw a lot of cards, which means he's going to start running low here, which is exactly the position we want to set him up in. I'm sorry, I keep saying him. It's just a thing. It's not targeted towards anybody. It's just that everybody in like it's just a common thing to say. Vicky, we're playing as Vicky here. So she has to reset stamps us here, which made me feel really bad because that Cynthia would have been great, but puts the spell tag in our hand, so not the worst thing that could have happened. We're just down to 2 prize cards, and whereas he has to take 3, so still a lot more attacks from her side. I'm so involved in the game, I sometimes don't even look at like who we're playing against. Sometimes I do if they take like a long time to flip the coin or something. I'll like read out their name and be like, okay. And sometimes I'll read them out if they have like really clever names too. So Slumbering Forest makes us flip 2 coins every time, so super annoying there. Probably never gonna wake up if that's the thing, if that's active, I mean. Go for both the Mareeps here because I want spell tag damage to take out 1 for sure. We get the other Viridian, knock out his Slumbering for this turn. Malamar, Psychic Recharge, and I think he, at this point, he only had 2 cards left in his deck, by the way. So we had 3 prizes, he had 2 cards left. No way he was going to take 3 prizes in 2 turns, so he would have just drawn out and lost either way. That's pretty much why he surrendered there. Why she surrendered there, my bad. But yeah, as you can see, Team Rocket, super fun. Make your opponent discard cards, and yeah, just drive them nuts. Force them to play their Cynthias and Lilies, force them to draw out, and eventually lose the game. So hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more great Pokemon TCGO content. This is your favorite Dr. Professor Oak signing off. Have a good day, good night, wherever you are, and have fun while playing this fun Team Rocket deck.